Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel. In the previous video, I showed this Midori Traveler's Notebook and how I have set it up to use as a wallet. I will link that video in the description box, but in that video, I also showed how the zip pockets or the zip refills had this huge overhang over here, and it kind of bothered me a little bit. But then two of my viewers commented that if I just place the zip refills at the backmost part of the entire stack, then that overhang will disappear. And so I did, and it worked. I just rearranged all of the inserts on here so that they will all go into that main elastic on the spine, the longer one, where previously I had them separated. The card holders used to be in the longer elastics, and the zip inserts and this person with disability booklet used to be in the shorter elastics. So I just stacked them all together and then threaded them through the longer elastic while I left the shorter elastic free. So now there is no more overhang of the zip inserts thanks to the suggestion of two of my viewers. But my next problem now is that the elastic is just very loose because it is so old. See, it cannot even carry the weight of everything I have in this traveler's notebook. As you can see, the contents slip up and down depending on how I hold the notebook. This traveler's notebook is still from the old Midori line before it became the Traveler's Company. I bought this over a decade ago, and I do have old videos about this traveler's notebook, which I will also link down below. So I went to the fabric store to buy some elastics, but funnily enough, these are all of the colors that they have. This blue one and this green one in the size that I needed. They did have a black, but it was too thin. It was too thin, and the fabric store didn't have anything thicker than these elastics either. So I'm stuck with these two different colors that don't really go with the dark brown, but I need to make it work. They look and feel sturdy enough with decent elasticity. Comparing these new elastics with the original elastic that's on the notebook, this old one really has become very loose because of age. I have no choice but to cut off the metal part that crimps the ends of the elastic together. I know there is a repair kit for Traveler's Notebook that includes this metal part, but I don't have that and I don't want to buy that for now. In the previous video about this Traveler's Notebook that I mentioned, I also showed that I snipped off the string bookmark that was attached to this metal thing, and this time in this video I'm going to take the whole thing off. But for sure I will hold on to that metal part just for old time's sake. I decided to go with the green elastic because I felt like it's a better match to the brown rather than the dark blue. To be honest, I was actually looking for orange in the fabric store, but like I said, only these two colors were available in the size that I needed. Now, in threading the elastic through the holes in the spine, I decided to double up for extra stability and also for extra elastics that I can use just in case I want to add something onto this. This way I get a total of 4 elastics. And then I just threaded the loose ends of the elastic through the loop that was made by the doubling up and then made a knot. Now I am very bad with knots. I do not like making knots. I cannot even tie my own shoelaces, so I just use those shoelace locks. That works for me. But for this project, I think I did a pretty good job doing the knots. If I had that repair kit with a metal crimp, this is where the metal crimp would have gone to cover the knot, and I would have placed it on the top of the notebook like the original configuration. But because I could not do that, I decided to decorate the loose ends of the elastic using these little wooden beads that I have saved. I've used this before when I was setting up and placing additional ribbon page markers on one of my bound A5 notebooks before, a couple of years ago, that I used with the alphabet Hobonichi cousin cover. I have a video about the process and I will link it down below. These are just basic wooden beads that I bought from the fabric store years ago, the same fabric store where I bought these elastics recently. And then when I have already decided on what wooden beads will go into the excess elastic and how many, I tied knots at the end. There I go again with the awkward knots, and then I cut off the excess. The wooden beads made the green elastic match better with the dark brown of the leather. Also, wood and leather look good together in my opinion. Next, I had to deal with the elastic closure because even if this is not yet totally loose, it will no longer match the green elastic and the wooden beads. The brass plate with my name on it is connected to the elastic using some kind of white thread because the holes in the brass plate are too small for the elastic to fit through, as you can see. So that's kind of the hack that I thought of at that time. So for the green elastic, I just threaded more of the wooden beads into it. Although with the alternating dark and light square beads, I thought the contrast was too much. So I replaced the light colored wooden beads with these slightly darker ones. And the combination looks better in my opinion. Now the trick to keeping these beads in place on the front and not slide around when opening and closing the notebook is to place knots on the elastic at both ends of the beads. So I looked for more or less the center of the elastic, and then I moved the beads to that approximated center and then placed one knot. The elastic does need to be stretched as fully as possible before placing the knot at the other end so that the beads will not slide around when the elastic is stretched. But I couldn't do it. I could not stretch the elastic and tie a knot at the same time. So I just did the best that I could in placing that other knot while stretching the elastic a little bit. And then it's just a matter of threading the loose ends of the elastic through the hole in the back, figuring out how long the closure loop should be, and then it's time to tie the final knot, which wasn't so final. I had to move it closer because it was not as tight as I wanted it to be. And this one looks okay. At this point, I have already placed the inserts back into the traveler's notebook so I can have a more accurate estimate of how tight the elastic closure should be. Now, because I didn't do the knots for the beads in the closure very well, the beads do slide around and the knots are too small, so the beads slide over the knots as well. But that's okay for now. If it bothers me, I'll just redo it. I still have some of the green elastic left over, but for now, this will have to do. And finally, my Midori Traveler's Notebook wallet has been updated in terms of elastic and decoration. I have to admit, this turned out better than I expected. I did not know how to deal with the colors of the elastics at first, but adding the wooden beads actually made the green elastic look intentional, even if the green really wasn't intentional. Because of the green and the wood together with the dark brown leather, now this traveler's notebook has that slightly woodsy vibe, and I like it. And that is my little video for you today. Thanks for watching. Bye.